to episode 2 of the Glass Horse Project, Beware the Ides, the Socially Distant Shakespeare series. My name is Taylor K. Corbett, and I'm the director of this production. We're producing this in partnership with the Rotch-Jones-Duff House and Garden Museum. Due to COVID-related restrictions, or safety parameters, rather, this episode of Beware the Ides is streaming on YouTube Live via Zoom. A recording of this episode will be available on YouTube later tonight. Please stay tuned after the program for a talk back with me and some of our actors. Tonight's episode features pieces from Caesar, the Glass Horse Project's female-led adaptation of Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare, Measure for Measure, and King Lear. Our talented cast for the evening includes Kate Martin, Julie Roundtree, Emily Entwistle, Zara Loreen, Angelique Dina, and Jordan Danielson. We would like to thank the Massachusetts Cultural Council for crucial funding and support of this program. We are the Glass Horse Project, and we're shattering expectations.
Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Give me the map there. Know that we have divided in three our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, unburthened, crawl toward death. Our son of Cornwall, and you, our no less loving son of Albany. We have this hour a constant will to publish our daughter's several dowers, that future strife may be prevented now. The princes, France and Burgundy, great rivals in our youngest daughter's love, long in our court have made their amorous sojourn, and here are to be answered. Tell me, my daughters, since now we will divest us both of rule, interest of territory, cares of state, which of you, shall we say, doth love us most, that we our largest bounty may extend where nature doth with merit challenge? Goneril, our eldest born, speak first.
Lady, I love you more than words can wield the matter. Dearer than eyesight, space, and liberty. Beyond what can be valued as rich or rare, no less than life, with grace, health, beauty, and honor, as much as child e'er loved or mother found, a love that makes breath poor and speech unable. Beyond all manner of so much I love you.
What will Cordelia do? Love and be silent.
Of all these bounds, even from this line to this, with shadowy forests and with champaigns rich, with plenteous rivers and wide-skirted meads, we make thee lady. To thine and Albany's issue be this perpetual. What says our second daughter, our dearest Regan, wife to Cornwall? Speak.
Ma'am, I am made of the self-same metal that my sister is, and prize me at her worth. In my true heart, I find she names my very deed of love. Only she comes too short, that I profess myself an enemy to all other joys which the most precious square of sense possesses, and find I am alone felicitate in your dear highness's love.
And poor Cordelia. And yet not so, for I'm sure my heart is richer than my tongue.
To thee and thine hereditary ever remain this ample third of our fair kingdom, no less in space, validity, and pleasure as that conferred on Goneril. Now our joy, although the last, not least, to whose young love the vines of France and milk of Burgundy strive to be interest. What can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak.
Nothing, my lady.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
As unhappy as I am, I cannot heave my heart onto my mouth. I love your majesty according to bond, no more, no less.
How, Cordelia? Mend your speech a little, lest it may mar your fortunes.
Good my lady, you have begot me, bred me, and loved me, and I have returned those duties that are as right as fit. Loved you, obeyed you, and most honored you. Why have my sisters husbands if they say they love their mother all? Happily, when I shall wed, the Lord whose hand must take my plight in marriage shall carry half my love, half my cares and duties. Sure, I will not marry like my sisters to love my mother all.
But goes thy heart with this?
Aye, my lady.
So young and so untender?
So young, my lady, and true.
Let it be so. Thy truth then be thy dower. For by the sacred radiance of the sun, the mysteries of Hecate and the night, by all the operation of the orbs from whom we do exist and cease to be, here I disclaim all my maternal care, propinquity, and property of blood, and as a stranger to my heart and me, hold thee from this forever. The barbarous Scythian, or he that makes his generation messes to gorge his appetite, shall to my bosom be as well neighbored, pitied, and relieved as thou, my sometime daughter.
Now, sister, what's the comfort?
Why, as all comforts are, most good indeed. Lord Angelo, having affairs to heaven, intends you for his swift ambassador. Therefore your best appointment make with speed. Tomorrow you set on.
Is there no remedy?
None but such remedy as to cleave a head to save a heart in twain.
But is there any?
Yes, brother, you may live. There is a devilish mercy, and the judge, if you'll implore it, will free your life, but fetter you till death.
Perpetual durance?
Aye, just perpetual durance. A restraint, though all the world's vastity, you had to a determined scope.
But in what nature?
Oh, and such a one as you consenting to it would bark the honor from the trunk that you bear and leave you naked.
Let me know the point.
Oh, I do fear thee, Claudio, and I quake, lest thou a feverish life and 6 or 7 winters more respect than perpetual honor. Darest thou die? The sense of death is in apprehension most. The poor beetle that we tread upon in corporal sufferance finds a pang as great as when a giant dies.
Why give you me this shame? Think you I can a resolution fetch from flowery tenderness? If I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride and hug it in mine arms.
There spake my brother. There my father's grave did utter forth a voice. Yes, thou must die. Thou art too noble to conserve a life in base appliances. This outward sainted deputy whose settled visage and deliberate word nips youth in the head and follies doth a moo as falcon doth the fowl is yet a devil. His filth being cast, he would appear upon as deep as hell.
The frenzy Angelo.
Oh, 'tis the cunning livery of hell to invest and cover in the princely guards. Just thou think, Claudio. If I would yield him my virginity, thou mightst be freed.
Oh, heavens! It cannot be.
Yes, he would give it thee. From his rank offense, so to offend him still. Now this night's the time which I would do what I abhor to name, or else thou diest tomorrow.
You shalt not do it.
Oh, but it were but my life. I'd throw it down for you as frankly as a pen.
Thanks, dear Isabel.
Be ready, Claudio, for your death tomorrow.
Yes. Has he affections in him that thus can make him bite the law by the nose when he would force it? Sure, it is no sin or of the deadly seven. It is the least.
Which is the least?
If it were damnable, he being so wise, why would he for the momentary trick be perdurably fined? Oh, Isabel.
What says my brother?
Death is a fearful thing.
An ashamed life, a hateful.
Aye, but to die and go we know not where, to lie in cold obstruction and to rot, this sensible warm motion to become a kneaded clod, and the delighted spirit to bathe in fiery floods, or to reside in the thrilling region of thick-ribbed ice, to be imprisoned in the viewless winds and blown with restless violence round about the pendant world, or to be worse than worst of those that lawless and uncertain thought imagine howling. 'Tis too horrible, the weariest and most loathed worldly life that age, ache, penury, and imprisonment can lay on nature is a paradise to what we fear of death.
Alas, alas.
Weep, sister. Let me live. What sin you do to save a brother's life, nature dispenses with the deed so far that it becomes a virtue.
Oh, you beast! Oh, faithless coward! Oh, dishonest wretch! Wilt thou be made a man out of my vice? Well, it is not a kind of incest to take life from thy sister's shame. What else should I think? Oh, heaven, shield my mother, played my father fair, for such a warped slip of wilderness ne'er issued from his blood. Take my defiance. Die. Perish. My bending down reprieve thee of thy fate? It should proceed. I'll pray 1,000 prayers for thy death, and none to save thee.
Hear me, Isabel.
Fie, thy sin's not accidental, but a trade. mercy to thee would prove itself a bawd. 'Tis best thou diest quickly.
Neither heaven nor earth have been at peace tonight. Thrice hath Calpurnia in her sleep cried out, "Help, ho, they murder Caesar!" Who's within?
What mean you, Caesar? Think you to walk forth? You shall not stir out of your house today.
Caesar shall go forth. These things that threatened me ne'er looked but on my back. When they shall see the face of Caesar, they are vanished.
Caesar, I never stood on ceremonies, yet now they fright me. There is one within. Besides the things that we have heard and seen, recounts the most horrid sights seen by the watch. That graves have yawned and yielded up their dead. Fierce, fiery warriors fought upon the clouds in ranks and squadrons in right form of war, which drizzled blood upon the Capitol. Caesar, these things are beyond all use, and I do fear them.
What can be avoided, whose end is purposed by the mighty gods? Caesar shall forth. These predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar.
When beggars die, there are no comets seen. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes.
Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. It seems strange to me that men should fear, seeing that death, a willing end, will come when it comes. The gods do this in shame of cowardice. Caesar should be a beast without a heart if she should stay at home today for fear. No, Caesar shall not. Danger knows well that Caesar is more dangerous than he, and Caesar shall go forth.
Alas, my love, your wisdom is consumed in confidence. Do not go forth today. Call it my fear that keeps you in the house and not your own. We'll send Mark Antony to the Senate House, and she shall say you are not well today. Let me upon my knee prevail in this.
For thy humor, I will stay at home. Here comes Decius Brutus. He shall tell them so.
Caesar, all hail. Good morrow, worthy Caesar. I come to fetch thee to the Senate House.
And you are come in very happy time to bear my greetings to the senators and tell them I will not be coming today.
Say she is sick.
Shall Caesar send a lie? I am not afraid. Go tell the graybeards the truth. Decius, tell them I will not come.
Most mighty Caesar, let me know some cause, lest I be laughed at when I tell them so.
The cause is in my will. I will not come. That is enough to satisfy the Senate. But for your private satisfaction, Calpurnia here, my wife, stays me at home. She dreamt tonight that she saw my statue, which, like a fountain with 100 spouts, did run pure blood. And many lusty Romans came smiling and did bathe their hands in it. This she applies for portents and warnings. Hath begged me to stay home today.
This dream is all misinterpreted. It was a vision fair and fortunate. Your statue spouting blood in many pipes in which so many smiling Romans bathed signifies, from you great Rome shall suck reviving blood. This by Calpurnia's dream is signified.
And this way you have well expounded on it.
I have, when you have heard what I can say and know it now. The Senate hath concluded to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. If you shall send them word you will not come, their minds may change. Besides, it were a mock apt to be rendered for someone to say, break up the Senate till another time when Caesar's wife may meet with better dreams. If Caesar hide herself, shall not they whisper, lo, Caesar's afraid?
How foolish do your fears seem now, Calpurnia. I am ashamed I did yield to them. Give me my robe, for I will go.
Thank you for tuning in to the Glass Horse Project's Beware the Ides, a socially distant Shakespeare series. Join us each night through Saturday, August 8th at 8 p.m. for more programming on YouTube Live. If you like what you saw, please consider donating to our GoFundMe campaign, which is currently being promoted on the Facebook event series. Thank you, and have a good night.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our actor interview series for episode 2 of Beware the Ides. We have 3 fabulous actors from tonight's episode joining us this evening, and our director, Taylor K. Corbett, who is supposed to be here. Are you going to sit in the chair, my friend?
Yeah, I'm just plugging in some headphones so I can hear you better.
Okay. Awesome sauce. So tonight we have Jordan Daniel Smith, Julie Roundtree, and Kate Martin as our actor combo. And I am Sarah, I'm the production manager of Glass Horse Project, and I will be moderating this fantastic talkback this evening, which if you are tuning in, please feel free to ask our streaming wizard, Brad, some questions. He will pass them along to me to pass to our cast and crew. So first up, Taylor, can you hear me on your headphones?
I can.
Yay, fabulous. Okay, well, I would love to hear from you first about constructing episode 2 here, and what you would like to highlight from directing this particular episode.
Yeah, sure. So This episode is a little interesting in comparison to last night because I'm in the venue. We've been doing our full production of Caesar. Last night with the hurricane and everything, tent collapsing in points, just wouldn't have worked out. So we did get to come to the venue and show our lovely set that was made. But when it came to kind of like constructing this episode in particular, we were looking at like content and length of scene. And I think we just landed on the idea that this setup functioned well, flowing into one another, and then it worked out time-wise as well. So yeah, I'm trying to like pick a specific thing out of the scene, but move on to somebody else for now.
Okay. Well, we actually have our first question / exclamation from the stream. This is for Kate. Talk to me about that crown. Exact words.
Anyone who knows me knows that I have a nice collection of crowns, actually. It was hard to pick which one for Lear, but this one has seen me through the Scottish play. It's seen others through the Tempest. It's taken some hits, but I thought now that it's actually taken some hits, it was perfect for Lear losing it a little bit.
It's a solid answer. It's a very well thought out crown. Ironically, my next question was actually going to be for you anyway, so we'll stick with you, Kate. I feel like you had a lot of fun during this process. You were one of the actors that was always cracking jokes and making light of things, and it's been a pleasure working with you. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about how it is building camaraderie amongst a cast digitally, because you guys have not really met each other in person for the most part. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about building that cast dynamic from a digital perspective.
It was a little challenging, most definitely, but we have really great crews, and of course, all my daughters are absolutely fantastic, except for that, little witch Cordelia. But it was everybody came at it positively, and so I thought it wasn't very hard at all. I do know a few people with whom I've acted before, including Jordan and Emily, so that also helped a bit because I came in much more comfortable than not knowing anybody.
Gotcha. Fun fact, Emily and Kate are both streaming from the same house in separate rooms. Which I love. We have another question in from the same streamer. So this is from On Thayer Street. It's for Jordan. What was the biggest challenge about the measure for measure scene for you?
Well, one would be the disconnectivity between my scene partner, Angelique, and who I never met before, never worked with, and trying to build that brother-sister like relationship. And it helped with the rehearsals, texting, FaceTiming, that all helped, but also just trying to think about me having to die was something that I've never really thought about. Never had to think about, like, what would I be like if I was dying tomorrow, or if somebody told me I was definitely going to die tomorrow. That was one of the things that I had to conjure up in my mind.
Well, speaking of dying, I know that you are also in another scene later in our series from Othello, where certain characters also die. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about building Claudio versus building Othello and how you've nuanced those two characters to look differently across the series.
Well, I think I definitely use a lot more life experience with Othello and just loss in general, not necessarily death, but for Claudio, it was basically just it was different because it was a loss of freedom, I guess, and not being able to live your life at all. Where Othello is not being able to live your life without a certain person because they did you wrong. And so that's kind of the difference that I see between them two, is and sort of similarity, is that it's still a loss of something. So there's still a little twinge that I can grab onto. But yeah, I hope that answered your question.
I think it does. We have another question from on Fair Street, who's totally just like holding down the fort there in the stream, which I love. This one's
Got a big fan.
This one is for Julie. Julie, what was the biggest reward for you in working on such iconic scenes?
We're talking about the Caesar scenes, I assume, or that's what I'll imagine that our question is about. It was, I mean, the whole thing was a reward. That's not really a great answer, but it was because, you know, I'm 5'0" and female, so getting to step into the shoes of a major Roman warrior is amazing, and not something that I will probably get to do again.
Until 2022.
Right, until, except of course with this amazing company. But you know, I've been actually in 2 other productions of Caesar, and I played the roles that you would expect me to be playing, the female characters, which are amazing. But no, this was just, it was really cool. And in particular, for example, with the scene that I worked tonight with Kate, it was really interesting trying to find the tenderness that I think makes sense for a spousal relationship, but also that like known power and confidence that comes with being a major warrior. So that dichotomy, like being able to play with that, is not something I typically get to do in the roles I play, if that makes sense.
It totally does. And you got very close to answering a question that I was going to ask you. So we'll extrapolate a little bit more. In making this particular role female and flip-flopping, you know, other roles in the play, like Brutus, who Angelique is playing, and Anastasia playing Antony, how do you think that changes the dynamics of these characters, and how does the action sort of play itself out differently when you have women ruling this play?
Man, I didn't mean to say man right there, well, for the few, and I know we talked about this back, not to give anything away, but we talked about this a little bit when we were doing read-throughs of the whole show. It really changes the dynamic when you have the major characters being played by women, and then a few other characters being played by men. Like, the moments of misogyny pop out very, very clearly. But as far as, for example, Caesar being killed by these other women, I think there's almost more agony, more excruciating pain behind it. And I don't just mean literally, because these are like warrior sisters working together. And yes, we know, you know, we've seen a million times the examples of warrior men working together who betray each other, but this is it's different when they are women, and when you've got women up there who have worked side by side, and then they betray each other in a way. I think it's a totally different vibe that I'm very interested in exploring further.
Yeah, so speaking of which, for those who are perhaps tuning in now or have tuned in through the talkback, we will be producing a full-length version of Caesar with this phenomenal cast, if they so choose to return, which we really hope they do, in the summer of 2022. So Taylor, I'm going to bounce this back to you and see if you want to sort of carry forward what Julie was just talking about in turning this into a female-led production. and what exactly that means, and anything else you would want to add about episode 2.
Part of the reason why I wanted to do Caesar is just because it's my favorite Shakespearean play. And much in line with our tagline, I guess, of shattering expectations. When I direct a show, I really like to do it in ways that you don't expect it to be done. So one of the ways that I thought about doing that was doing a female Caesar. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to do it or what direction to go when I first had the idea. And then I started working on it more and more. And it is really interesting when you take the minority group and you put them into these positions of power and these positions that get betrayed or get convinced to betray. Like Julie says, I think it makes it a little more painful to, to deal with, the sisterhood turning its back on you when all you're trying to do is help move things in the positive direction. And to the layers of misogyny that we were starting to work into the play of just, Cassius thinking, well, why do you not like Caesar? And then we could layer in the misogyny of, she's weak, I hate even saying it, but she's hormonal, every phrase that misogynists and men use to devalue a woman's strength or a woman's opinion, those phrases were there already. It was just extrapolating and figuring out what exactly, it was being directed towards at the time. And I just think it's important now to have shows where we put, faces we don't normally see on stage. And with Shakespeare, you're given the flexibility to, have the main cast of women or the main group of men become women and use it to a more effective end of the show. As far as the episode goes, every scene that we worked on through this process was interesting, to say the least. A lot of my direction revolves around, and this is something I got from my director at BCC, but your circumstances that you're in, what you want, and listening to your scene partner and your environment. So a lot of our work was helping the actors build an imaginary environment around them in their own space. When normally we would have set pieces and other things that they could actually visualize and other people right next to them that they could visualize and interact with. But with this, I almost wish that I could have acted in this, because just the capability to build up that imaginary environment and really focus on for measure. With Jordan, we talked about how you're in a small little cell and you've been there for a few days, you've been isolated, you haven't seen anybody. And then your sister comes and it's, oh, great, my sister's here. And then she tells you that you're going to die tomorrow. So how does that shift everything around? And that's just how I approached every scene that we did. But yeah, I think I answered. I don't know. I get very rambly.
You did that. That was a great answer. Unless we have any questions coming in from the stream, on Thayer Street, you got anything else for us? Yeah, I think we can wrap things up this evening. So thank you so much for tuning in to this particular episode of Beware the Ides. We will be back tomorrow sharply at 8 p.m. on YouTube Live. So please tune in to episode 3. And thank you, and have a fantastic night.
And give us money. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.